say hello and thank you for everybody joining us. We are, as always, joined by SVA and my cohort in crime, Deborah Gilbert, Regional Director for APA. And we have Shawn Lee tonight. I'm very excited to be talking with him. We've been having some fun prior, and I know you guys are in good hands and going to get some fun information. And, even if you don't, you're going to have a fun time. But I guarantee you're going to get some good information out of this. What's great is for those of you that know APA, we're American Photographic Artists. I'm the chairman of APA New York, and we're an organization founded by photographers for photographers. And at the base of what we are, we're a group that looks out for each other and wants to give each other the best tools and advice and advocacy and fight photographers' rights and pay. And one of those things that I've been doing recently is working on the Freelance Isn't Free bill, which is make sure that people get paid within 30 days. We know how difficult it is for photographers when they have big companies that, say we'll pay you net 60, net 90, and you feel like you can't say anything because you're a photographer and they might not give you another job. Well, this Freelance Isn't Free is now a law in New York City, and we're trying to expand it to New York State and across the United States, where you will have the rights that you have to be paid in 30 days. And that's one of the things the money goes to when you're joining APA, is things like that. And other things like benefits where you get discounts at Apple and Adorama, which is the reason most of you join. And we do portfolio reviews and all that. But this lecture series for us is to really reach people out there that are in love with photography and want to further their education. And furthering education is one of the things that SVA is known for. And Nivea, why don't you say hi?
Hi, everybody. Happy to be here with you all. Yes, I'm a course advisor at SVA. We have some awesome courses that actually are semester starting this summer, June. So check out some photography courses, and I'll put the link in the chat so you can all check them out.
Fantastic. Deborah, what else we got going on? And say hello.
Hey, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us. And I see people still coming in. Hey, Joey. Hey, Juliet. I feel like the lady from Romper Room when I do that, greeting people as they come in. But we have, as always, we always have new events coming up, and we put a couple up in the last few days up on our website, apany.com. We have an event coming up with Aileen Smithson in May, and we also have a photo walk. We have 2 photo walks in May. One is listed already. We're going to the circuit.
One is not a photo walk.
Well, it's not a photo walk. Sorry, I'm saying the wrong thing. It's not a photo, it's a photo opportunity.
A photo experience.
We're going to the a brand new circus, Omnium Circus, that's going to be playing at the Queen's Theater on May 14th. And it's an all human performer circus, and it's all inclusive, and it's a fabulous show. And we have reserved seats so we can all stand or sit and photograph the show and not bother the other customers. And so look for that. And also, we're also going to be having a photo walk in Central Park in May as well, up at the North End.
And one of the cool things about that photo walk is we actually have a tour guide that knows all the ins and outs and history of the Central Park and things like you would not even believe, like their little codes on the lamps that mean where you are and all that stuff, like, and there's the way they built it and it's natural stuff and stuff they built. He knows all of that, which is kind of really cool. So let's jump right into it. Shawn, welcome. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well.
So I see with the hat, you're a Yankees fan.
Yeah. You get on my nerves, man.
I know, but you love it.
It's gonna be that kind of.
It's gonna be that kind of fun evening tonight. Absolutely.
Listen, let me ask you guys a question.
Yeah.
In this view, and I don't know, you can tell me no. Is it possible to see everybody?
So right now you won't be able to see everybody, but what we can do tonight is if someone wants to like join in and ask a question, we can actually promote them up and they can ask that question live. So if they want to get their mics and cameras ready, they can actually kind of join us. So we love doing that. So if you want to do that, you can click raise your hand. There's a little button that says raise your hand and we'll bring you into the discussion live. Does that sound cool?
Rock that.
I love that. Otherwise, we do have a chat panel and we have a Q&A panel. You know what? We can watch that Q&A panel or we can watch the chat panel. If you have questions while we're doing this, we're actually taking them during, if there's something that Shawn has said that really piques your interest and you want to know how it was done or, follow up, he'll take those questions. Otherwise, we can hold them to the end as well. So make sure you write your questions into the Q&A or the chat panel, and we're taking questions all along through this. So Shawn, you want to get this rolling?
All right, I will take it away. So dude, I can run my mouth, so I will hopefully
I'm here with you.
people
I'm here.
here,
It's all good.
we won't bleed their ears, right? Hopefully everybody at home, they won't have bloody computer, screens and stuff like
You're
that.
here to run your mouth. That's what you're here for.
Rock that. All right, so we're gonna start off. I guess I can start off with sharing my screen. Can I do
Yeah.
that? All right, rock that. And so I talk about this all the time when we talk about developing a business model. So everybody, my name's Shawn Lee, born and raised Detroit, Michigan. And really quickly, what I'm going to say is my story starts from me absolutely loving people. Absolutely love people. I'm a good old-fashioned church boy. I invest in people. I love people. The second part of that is Detroit, largest municipality to go through bankruptcy. And so my business kind of exploded in at a time when we were going through bankruptcy. And the way that happened is that I attacked photography from a standpoint of providing a great experience for people. People had money, but they did not want to spend it. And so at a time where folk were just, the morale of the city was low, and people didn't want to really spend money. When you give people an experience, when you serve your client extremely well, and you have a product that is really, 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 really good, there are ways for you to be able to explode your business, no matter the environment, no matter what the economy is. It is based on relationships and building an experience and a product that nobody else can do. And guess what? Everybody on earth is an individual. There is nobody like you on the planet. And so the uniqueness of who you are and what you do will be absolutely the thing that takes your business to the next level. So with that, I'm gonna jump right in. Now I'm gonna skip through a lot of stuff because we only got an hour and I'm only gonna bleed your ears just a little bit, right? The first thing in my career, when we talk about taking business or developing a business model, when I started in photography, I did not have a client on planet Earth. Of course, like all of you all, but being an African-American man in Detroit, Michigan, when you talk about an authentic photography industry, there was no place for me. And so to actually make money, to be able to take care of home, take care of family, I couldn't do it with a shoot here, a shoot there, right? A session here or a session there was not enough for me to be able to take care of my family. So the first thing that I had to understand is that failure for me was just not an option, right? And so the industry didn't fit me. I didn't have any money. I didn't have a brick and mortar store. I didn't have the beautiful velvet couches with the projection system to project images into a big frame on the wall. I didn't have any of that stuff. And so I had to innovate a business model, right? And so for me, failure was not an option, right? And your attitude becomes everything, right? And so I'm gonna say this starting out for those of you all that might be graduating, getting ready to go through starting a career, whether your market is saturated or not, wherever you're from, whatever you're getting ready to get into, this absolutely needs to be your attitude before you do anything. People will always discount you. I want you to know that. Make sure you don't discount yourself. All right. People will see you how you see yourself. So when you do that, that will lead to a journey of innovation. All right. And so for me as a photographer, I had this thing that I called the perfect storm, which is the least investment, most or greatest return with the least amount of time and effort. And I don't know about you all, but when I started out, it was just me, right? So you can say to yourself, it's just me, right? And so for the photographer, or let me say for the entrepreneur, time is money, all right? And that's how this started out. You're a business owner, think like one. To thrive, you have to be ready to diversify. If you have to be strategic in your thinking, you're in business to make money, not to have an expensive hobby, if that makes sense, right? So I did this a couple of ways, and I'm not going to jump off into all of the ways, but one of the ways that I innovated business was high school seniors. Why, Shawn? Why high school seniors? Well, at the time, and this was a long time ago, a long time ago, the average was $800, I believe, for a high school senior. And that might not even be the case in New York. I don't even think you all do high school seniors. Is that true? Somebody let me know if that's true, if something flashes across my screen.
You're asking if there are high school seniors?
Yeah, I don't think you guys do high school seniors like
Sure we
East
do.
Coast, like New York.
Yeah,
Do you?
yeah, it's 12th grade, high school senior.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, no. I mean
Like
photography.
shooting pictures? Yeah, like senior portraits?
Yeah.
Like senior
Yeah,
portraits?
portraits. Yeah, they
Yeah,
still do
senior
that.
portrait.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you really?
Yeah, yeah,
Rock
it's a
that.
thing here.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. I've been told by some New Yorkers, no, we don't even do that, Sean.
I'm
We
just
don't.
clarifying the year and stuff like that. But yeah, they oh, that's a big business here.
It's a big business. Okay, good. All right. I'm glad to know that now. Right. I stand corrected. So, but back then when I started, the statistics were that if I walked into a school of 100 seniors, right, a school that had 100 high school seniors, 90 of them will get high school senior portraits, right? So it was 90% at the time. And so for me, it was, I had to be more than just talented at photography. I now had to strategically think about how to get business. And at an average of $800 per high school senior, if I walked into a school of 100 and 90 of them got photos, if you did really well on one, you would potentially get the rest of them, right? And so high school seniors was important to me because of the dollar average that you would get. Not only that, there wasn't much marketing you had to do, right? So there wasn't flyers and all of that stuff that you had to do. It was relationship building. You got one senior, you pretty much got all of them. And in the Midwest, and now that I understand that it is the case in New York, in the Midwest, high school senior portraits are a way of life. Everybody gets high school senior portraits. It's sort of like you're walking through the fire, right? And before you get your graduation cap, you got to have high school senior photos. So that was one of the things that I decided to do to take business to the next level. The other one was school photography, but I'm not going to dive into that right now. But that was the reason that I did that, right? Innovating the ways that you serve your clients. So I'm going to jump into this real quick, and then we're going to get off into some real conversation. So at the time, I did not have a studio. I told you guys I didn't have any money. That I broke, just all out, just broke. It's broke. I owed broke, right? I owed broke money. I was like, I didn't have enough money to be broke. They were like, no, you can't be broke, Sean. You. But I was a photographer. I had two great jobs at the same time. I drove a forklift truck, right, for a distribution center, and I made the car seats for the Ford Focus, right, for Johnson Controls. I worked one during the day, one at night. I had two great, amazing jobs, right? I wouldn't be a photographer if I still had those jobs. I got laid off of both of them within 4 months. Right. And so while everybody else takes photos because they love it, maybe it's a hobby, all of that stuff, for me, I decided I was going to jump off into photography, and I needed to make money, and the shoot here and there wasn't going to do it. High school senior portraits was a way for me to like, okay, here's something that I can make money at if I concentrate on it, and very little marketing. And if I'm good at it, then I can get everybody and kind of build fast. So I didn't have a studio, but I rented time. All right. For those of you all that may not have money or be as broke as I was, and it's just you. Right. And so back then it was 2, 3, 4 pose sessions. Right. You pay for a session, you get a couple poses, whatever. What I did was I rented the studio for an hour. So I did hour sessions. All right. And what I would say during that time is I would do unlimited poses, unlimited clothing changes, right, in an hour. Well, why, Sean? That's just stupid. Are you crazy? You know how many people have called me stupid? Sean, that's just stupid. Why would you give that away like that? Ron, don't give people unlimited. What are you doing? Right? Fact of the matter is that in an hour, at most, you might be able to get 3 or 4 clothes changes in. But for the client, right? For the client, unlimited poses and unlimited clothes changes sounds attractive. Oh my goodness. Are you serious? You mean for an hour? We're going to shoot for an hour. And not only are we going to shoot for an hour, you're going to let me bring all my clothes? Money, bring all. Bring your whole closet. I want you to bring everything you got, right? And what that does is that takes the brakes off your clients. And let me sidebar real quick. For those of you all that like to negotiate with your clients, your individual clients, don't be in a position, don't negotiate with your clients. Don't tit for tat with your clients. Charge what you're going to charge, make what you want to make, but serve your client, your customer extremely well. Take the brakes off. When you do, their wallets and purses open up, right? When they feel well served, oh my goodness, the amount of money that people will spend with you but if they're in a defensive mode and they're like, well, what can I get for that 8x10? Well, can you take $5 off? Right. That type of, not that you're going to do that, you all, but when you take the brakes off of your client, they will spend more money. All right. So what I would do is I would have snacks in the session. I got a table with linen on it. I find out all of their favorite snacks, candy bars, pops, juices, drinks. The table would be dressed with nothing but goodness that the senior and the family loves. All right. I'd let them invite family and friends into the studio. Now I'm setting the scene for you all, right? I didn't have no money. I rented time, didn't own the thing. I let them invite family and friends, grandmas, uncles, godparents, didn't matter. If they were football players, they'd invite teammates, right? They get rowdy, all of that stuff, right? I patch their music through the system. This is the stuff that I still do today, patch their music through the system. And so when they come in, they either Bluetooth or they have a playlist or we put it on a channel, and their system bumps through the studio, right? While we're doing, and I shoot tethered, which means that I'm connected to a huge screen in the studio. All of this stuff makes for an awesome experience. It became about the experience. Why is that important? When you got a high school senior, right, that has an hour session, right, and mom or dad or both are paying for it, grandma's paying for it, and you tell them that juxtapose against a 2 to 3 pose session everywhere else, when they get unlimited poses, unlimited clothes changes, we're going to have your favorite snacks in the session. You can bring your family and your friends to the session. We're going to get all of your music in. I'm going to connect to the screen. So as I'm shooting, you see the quality of what you're getting on the screen immediately. Right? It became about the experience. It turned into a high school senior party, right? And they absolutely loved it. And so I can only tell you that mom, right? Imagine her high school senior daughter who is maybe getting makeup done for the first time. Who sat in the makeup chair, got makeup done, and then we take a stunning photograph of her daughter, and mom is standing by this huge screen looking at a wonderful portrait of her daughter, and a tear starts to roll down her face. Oh my God, I can't tell you the amount of money that's getting ready to be spent money right now, like when that happens. All right. Rock that. So I didn't have money or space to buy or store backdrops or props. And especially back then, backdrops like a 10x20 backdrop, $800, $700, $800 for muslins and all of this stuff. And I didn't have any space to store it. And then the other thing is that after you shot that for so long, kids didn't want to be photographed on that anymore. So they lost their value quickly, right? So what I did was I shot on white, gray, or black, right? And depending on how you shoot, you can turn a white background gray or black, right? And so it became about focusing on the individual. It became about focusing on them, their personality, who they are, right? All of that stuff. The client brought in the props, and then they took them back home with them. So I don't know what teenager don't love they Jordans, don't love their jeans, don't love their sunglasses. I don't know what kid doesn't love they iPhone or they droid, their technology, all of that stuff, right? All of the trophies that they've won, right? Their favorite clothes and all of those things, they bring them in with them. You want to photograph them in that stuff. Why? Because it's important to them. All right. And guess what? I didn't have to store it. They take it back home with them. And so we're still talking about business mind here. All right. And so I engage the client, offering them something extremely unique, right? I always do a 15 to 20-minute interview with every senior and their family. And this is just one of the ways, guys, that that I make money. And we'll talk about how in 30 days, in 30 days time, I make 150 grand. Right. So we'll talk about that. But a 15 to 20-minute interview with every senior and their family. We made every session custom to the individual. Right. Every single one. It's not hard to do. And you should promise it to every client that you have. Why? Because they're individual. Nobody's clothes are like theirs. Nobody's shoes are like theirs. Nobody smiles like they do. Right. And so that's what we promised them. And it was attractive. It is an attractive thing to say, hey, by the time we finish with your stuff is not going to be like anybody else's stuff on the planet. Right. We promise. I just said that. There we go. Cool. All right. And then, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into some images and I'm going to start to talk about the experience. All right. We are still talking about developing a business. Now, for me, developing the business means I had to play on my strengths, which is my personality, and develop the experience so that people would spend money with me. Right. And so, for example, this kid loved his Converse All-Stars. And remember, I told you, we feature what's important to the individual. Is that right? And so he loved his Converse All-Stars, and his nickname in high school was Juice. So I happened to have a Capri Sun in the studio, and this is how we took that photograph. You don't see his eyes or his face, but his family absolutely loved this image. Absolutely loved it. There is a trick in studio that I use called depth of field, right? It's not really a trick. If you know photography, then it is what it is. But I love using depth of field. And there's something that you're going to notice about all of these photographs. They're either on white, gray, or black if we're in studio. If we're outside, of course, the background is outside. But this is where we take the senior's thing, whatever that is, whether it's a shoe, and in this case, it's the football, because the kid played football. We put it right out in front of the individual. And you all know with photography, all lenses cause distortion. What's closest to the lens gets bigger, just like my hand in front of the camera right now gets bigger. What's ever farthest away gets smaller. Put the focus point on the football, and we made it nice, sharp, and in focus. And then we put him out of focus, right? It is a simple way for me to conduct a high school senior session in an hour, get a stunning shot that doesn't take a whole lot of time or a whole lot of setup, right? And so still thinking about business. How do I execute and keep it hot, right? Keep the imagery dope where clients want to buy it, right? But also maximize my time so that I'm processing fast, if that makes sense, right? Coming in and looking at different stuff. So like the kid in the middle with his locks, he was a drummer. We stopped. We did a 1-to-1 ratio with strip boxes on the side. And as he was drumming, I said, hold up a second, dude, and flip your head up on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. He flipped his head up. This is what we captured, right? Pretty freaking cool. So keeping innovation open, capturing them going through the motions of what they do. We'll talk about that a little bit later. The kid playing golf, I had him before we started the shoot. I said, listen, show me what you do with the golf ball, right? Show me some of your tricks. And that's what we capture, who they are, right? This kid was he was a soccer referee in high school. I don't know, no kids that was a soccer referee, but we decided to do it in a way that maybe reminiscent of a Nike ad or something like that. And so just very cool. Once again, strip boxes, again, very dramatic, and had fun with this, right? So wanting to show you guys this, also using compositing, and actually the shot on the shot on this side, that side for you all. I'm not even gonna call it right or left because I don't even know which one it is. This was actually a test shot. I was just testing the lights. And he was just acting a fool, and he wanted to show his style and his socks, right? So the parents loved it because that was him, tongue sticking out, having a blast, right? And then the kid with the Detroit shirt, and doing some compositing. So having fun with what we do, right? This kid sticking his hands out. Once again, depth of field shot. And this is an old shot, but the focus point is on his face. His hands are out of focus. Hands are really big in front of him. And then simply going in post and adding a font and adding text. Keeps it very simple. We can process it pretty fast, but pretty stunning for the family. All right. So I'm gonna just go through some of these so you guys can look at them. Is that all right? I'm just gonna act like y'all saying, yeah, Shawn, that's all right. That's pretty
Of course,
cool.
that's
Yeah.
all right.
Right, rock that. In this case, the kid, you know, how do you tell the story, right? So one of the things that I get into now is actually storytelling, what's important to people, right? And so how do you tell a story? And mom wanted to bring in the whole system, right? The whole video game, right? Like you can't bring a TV and the whole game system in. Well, like what? How are we gonna do that? No, just bring the controller, right? And once again, using the depth of field shot, holding the controller out front, focus point on the face, and having some fun with it. You tell the story that this kid is passionate about video games, right? Same thing with chess. And so we froze the pieces using flash and shutter speed, focus point on the eyes. And when he first did this, I was like, listen, on the count of 3, you're going to toss the chess pieces out at me. And he got the chess pieces in his hand and he threw them at me and freaking almost broke my lens. I was like, dude, you almost put my eye out, man. You can't do that. So next time I just need you to gingerly toss the chess pieces, right? Focus point on the eyes, count of 3, boom. And this is what we captured, right? So having fun and thinking outside the box with stuff, right? For this kid, his brother was in the military and he had his dog tags, and it was pretty important to him. So you'll see a lot of that. And one thing you notice, I don't know if you guys are paying attention, but the backgrounds are white, gray, or black. Excuse me. Right. This is compositing. So this is the same girl who was on the dance team, and I had her go through a series of her dance moves. And we captured all of those moves and composited them together. Right. Same thing here. Just having fun. Right. This kid played basketball and football. So having fun with this kind of stuff. Right. This kid won championships three years in a row. Once again, depth of field shot. We did this in his locker room. But the rings, we centered on that center ring. But I think this is a pretty cool shot, right? All 3 rings, back-to-back, repeat, the whole 9. He's out of focus, Superman shirt on. But it tells the story of, of power and them winning, right? This is how he prepared for every game. So underneath his jersey, he wore a Superman shirt, right? And so he always got in the locker room before everybody else, listened to his music, and had his Superman shirt on. And so we wanted to capture the storytelling of that. This kid was also on one of those championship teams. And he wanted to take his photo in front of, Ford Field, which is where the Lions play. God bless his soul. I don't know why he wanted to do that, but okay. So we captured this kid in front of the Lions. Now I'm from Detroit and I love Detroit, but oh my, right? Yeah. So, but we captured this kid in front of, Ford Field. Once again, storytelling, and the background being a part of that, right? Featuring what is important to them and who they are. Oh my God. Listen, I don't know if I got number. How much time I got, Travis? I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
I'll take it. We're at 7:30. They've got 2 things here that I want to kind of what is great is you look at any one of these photos, and like if you had showed me a handful of these photos and said these were for advertising and these were campaigns I ran, I would have went, yeah, of course they are. Especially, that Xbox controller, and there's so many of those things that literally are advertising, or lifestyle, and they're fantastic. And someone had written a question. They want to know if you come up with the conflicts, these concepts on the fly, or you're asking them about, maybe 15 minutes ahead of time, or what's your process on coming up with concepts when you're shooting?
Oh, that is such a great question. So I talked to the family ahead of time, right? And I talked to the senior ahead of time. And one of the things that I always teach is that you want to pull out of yourself and out of them some concepts, right? You want to sell. This is how I made money. You want to sell to them what their shot might look like, right? So for example, the picture that we're looking at, the kid in the Western outfit, right? When you have this consultation with the family, you have to paint this vivid picture so they're like, oh yeah, right? And if you do that and start to execute that, they get excited about it. So I'm going to say for that question, and I know you're going to hate me for this, it's both. It's both. So you always start, because remember, although we are creatives and I love creativity. I absolutely love what I do. I love on the fly when those whims come to you in an instant and you get super creative, and we'll get into that. But you also want to have a plan, a foundation to start from. And from that foundation, you can get as creative as you want, as long as you have a base of execution, right? And so, yes, that's how that happens. Like with the dreads, we started out, we knew we were going to be playing drums. I knew I wanted to capture his locks in some kind of way, but in the instant, something flashed before me and I said, dude, I need you to lift up and right. And so as long as you have a plan, when you're executing that plan, let creativity have its way. Have fun in what you're doing. Right? Engage your client money. You got to love doing this. If you're going to do this, you have to love people. You got to love doing this, or you are not going to have fun.
I'll follow that up with one question before you go into the next part of your presentation. Nowadays, you have a lot of media savvy and photo conscious and clients. These kids are coming in and they may have an idea of something that may be absolutely crazy. How are you dealing with people now that that come in, are so used to shooting their self-portraits on iPhones, that think that they that how do you control someone that is out of control?
You talk them off the ledge. You talk them off the ledge. And so in my world, anything is possible, but it comes at a price point. Right. And so once you start discussing price points and you start to paint the picture for them, oh, sure, we can do that. Yeah, we can do the mountaintop. Yeah. Flights are $1,500, and then the hotel is going to be, whatever it's going to be. And then, we need gear. We need to
raise the price. You see how humble they start getting real quick.
Yeah, we need a guy to get up the side of the mountain. And then we're going to need more than 1,200 watt second lights. We're going to have to get all of that. Yes, I'm going to have to execute. And then I need to be on a helicopter in order to get that shot. So as you jump off the side of the mountain, I need to be in a helicopter as we, maybe we can just do it in studio, Shawn. Right. And so you have to be an expert remember, you're still serving your client, right? And they don't know, they're coming to you because you're the expert. And so talk them off the ledge. Don't be like, you crazy, you lost your mind, go see somebody else, right? Say, yes, we can absolutely execute anything you want to. You got budget for that? Right. And I've learned not to discourage that, because some people actually have budget or find it. Right. So don't discourage the crazy. Find a way to execute the crazy, as long as they got budget for the crazy. All right. So rock that.
Shawn, can I say you asked if we notice that the backgrounds are white, black, and gray.
Yes.
You're capturing so much personality in all these people. I don't think anyone's noticing the background. They're just noticing people.
The entire point. Now, with that, I don't have to store backgrounds. I'm not buying a bunch of different backgrounds, right? My white background remains my background in studio, and we capture the individual, which is the whole point anyway. And families buy more because you've captured their baby, right? You've captured the essence of who they are, not just a pose, but what's important to them, their stuff. So for example, this kid, the Holy Bible, religious kid, right? And I was determined not to do praying hands. Everybody does praying hands. So we did a depth of field shot, simply held the Bible out, right? Face off to the side, right? Family loved it, right? This kid with the, in the Western, his mom, he had this for Halloween, and his mom was like, no, I just want a regular senior. Can I just get a regular senior picture? And they had a suit for him that his uncle had that was like, I don't know, 2 sizes too big, and had to clamp it in the back and all of that stuff to get it to look halfway decent. I said during the thing, she's like, don't you bring that thing. When we were talking on the phone, I said, Mom, bring the Western outfit. Bring that joker. Will you bring it, please? I said, we'll take a photo in Uncle Buck's suit. I don't know what Uncle's name was, whoever he was, right? Well, I'll do it, but bring the Western outfit. And when he put that on, we did a simple one light on black. And it looked like a movie poster. Mom stood at the screen and cried. She couldn't believe that it would money. Oh, money. I'm trying to tell you, right? Boy, I'm trying to, good Lord. Let me go on to the next thing. So feature what's important to them. Right now, watch this. He brought the Western outfit in. He took the Western outfit with him back home. And Mom bought this up. You want to know why? This is important to them, right? This is a memory that they will never, ever, ever forget, right? And they will spend more money for that than a regular pose portrait in Uncle Buck's suit, right? Featuring, once again, this girl loved her Soul Republic headphones. I don't even think they're around no more, right? And this other kid was from Montana, and the area code is 406. And so featuring those, thinking outside the box and featuring those things, kids love this stuff. And I'm gonna tell you, they will dominate Mom and Dad's checkbook. I had a senior come in, a senior girl. She had already decided she was going to shoot with me. And once they came in, did the consultation, they found out what the price was. Mom was like, no, thank you. Right. And they left out, and that was great. You know what I mean? Hey, that's cool. That girl bugged her mom. I'm not shooting with nobody else. She left the deposit with another photographer. Mom did. She said, I'm not shooting with the other photographer. I'm photographing with Shawn only.
Guess what happened? She shot with you.
Yes. And at the end of it, Mom was glad that she spent the money. Rock that. You know what I mean? Once again, featuring what's important to them back when G-Shock watches was good. All right, so here's the deal. Refine processes and workflow so that it makes you money. So right now, I average about 4 hours now, but we're gonna go with this. I average about 5 hours per high school senior. And that 5 hours is from initial consultation to an hour session, right? To post-production, to final printing and final delivery is about 5 hours per high school senior. I photograph 50 seniors a year, all right? Minimum investment, the minimum investment is $1,000. Excuse me, per high school senior. The average spend, now this was 2 to 3K. The average investment now is between $3,000 and $4,000. Is between $3,000 and $4,000. So here is the deal. When I did the math and you look at 50 seniors, if you look at 50 seniors, let's say 50 seniors a year, and let's say at 3,000 at the low end of my average now, at $3,000, that is $150,000 a year. When you look at 5 hours times 50, that's 250 hours. When you divide that by an 8-hour workday, that's about 30 days, about 31 days. So I make 150 grand in about 31 days time, right? And so it became for me about maximizing my time, keeping the photography interesting, keeping it hot, refining my workflow so that I captured shots easy, but kept them stunning, and making enough money to be able to take care of myself and doing it in the least amount of time. So now I can go and do the things that I want to do as far as philanthropy and opening up doors for people and doing mentoring for kids and speaking and all of those other things that I want to do, right? It became about now I need to build a business that thrives, and it's based on experience and my skill set with people, right? And so I would challenge you all to kind of think through your processes. You got to do a little bit of homework and find out where your market is and where you fit in that market, pricing, all of those things that go along with that, right? And then innovate how you serve your client. Rock that. One of the ways that I do that is I capture a lot of shots in a very small amount of time. So with this particular senior, he ran track. And so if you stand in the scene, we have him go through the motions, right? On your mark, get set, go, right? Capture all of those. All of those went into his gallery. All of those became options for album and wall art, right? Same thing with the hip hop dancer, right? Having him go through the motions of what he does, capturing it all in the scene, very short amount of time doing that. Now this is cool. I'm gonna go through this and then if there's time for more questions, Travis, Deb, y'all let me know. But combinations of photographs and post-production can make for very clever, likable high school senior photos. You got something, Travis?
I was just letting you know that we're good.
Okay, we're good. Rock that. All right. So literally during the interview, for this kid, his name is Ed. His favorite color was green. And so mom paid for the session with cash. You know what I mean? And so she had cash. She was counting out some money. I was like, Mom, I got an idea. I was like, give me one of them $100 bills. She was like, the session is not over with yet. I said, no. I said, no, Mom, I got an idea, right? And so we took the $100 bill, put it in Ed's hand. His favorite color was green, right? We took this shot, just simple shot, and then literally in post, 2 minutes with a font, simple font, Ed's favorite color, green. The family absolutely loved this. Now, when we talk about saving time, we did this same shot several times, different depths of field, right? Holding the $100 bill out, holding it in frame, right? Right here, one hand, both hands, face in focus, face out of focus, right? Several different shots, all caught probably within a minute, all within 1 minute. All of these went into his gallery, right? All of these became options. And so creating a workflow that's kind of easy. And this is kind of cool. This is kind of dope. I don't care what y'all say. This is about to be dope right here. So Ed, big fella. Y'all saw Ed. Ed was a big fella. Ed had a deep voice. Ed talked like this. Hey, was very respectful. How you doing, Mr. Lee? You all right? Ed made me work for it. So Ed didn't have much personality. You know what I mean? And sometimes you had those sessions where you be like, oh my God, what are we gonna do next? Right. And so at the end of the session, I was like, Ed, you got to do something for me, man. You got to give me something. He was like, well, I don't know what to do. What you want me to do, Mr. Lee? I was like, well, Ed, can you jump? He was like, you want me to jump? I was like, yeah, I want you to jump, Ed. He's like, okay. And so I was like, on the count of 3, Ed, I need you to jump for me, right? And on 3, boom, Ed jump. This is what we captured. Whoo! Money, this was dope. I don't care what you say. Mom was, and this is the mom with the $100 bills, like, session ain't over with yet. And mom was like, we was high-fiving, because this, you got Ed a big fella, and Ed jumped, and he looked like a superhero right here. Ed looked like a big fella superhero. If that was his superhero name, it would be Captain Big Fella, right? So we captured this. Everybody was excited, and then keep your mind open for creativity, right? And I had this idea, right? That it was launching out, and so we did this. Oh my God, his mom was one of them. His mom was one of the moms, single mom. She had 2 boys. They was both big fellas. They was eating her out of house and home, and she had to pay for college for him. And she was like, Shawn, I don't care nothing about rock that and all that stuff you talking. This is my budget. This is all I'm spending, right? This is what she said. When she saw this shot, they started fundraising. Let me tell you something. They called family in different states. They started fundraising and spending money, right, for the senior photos because of this, right? It was just freaking cool. And so listen, the simple creative title to finish the image, right? And we called it Launching Out because he was graduating. It was just fun, right? Rock that. I can't hear you, Travis.
I keep muting myself. I got one question that someone wanted. They wanted to see if you could share some of the questions you asked your seniors that reveal their personalities. Like, do you have a certain standard thing you kind of ask them, or is it different to each person? How do you get to them kind of to reveal themselves?
It's pretty standard. It's pretty standard. And once I used to have a form, but I don't even have a form anymore. I just kind of ask, and I might write down a few things if they are super what's the word I'm looking for? If it's super unique, but you ask them favorite colors, favorite foods. What are you doing? What do you do in school? What's extracurricular, right? All of those kind of things you want to kind of find out who they are. And then once you get them started, they will start storytelling about their relationships, right? And so they'll start telling you about the things that are important to them, the things that they don't like. You'll pick up on things that you might want to start to feature, which actually leads us into client interaction, right? And so if we look at this photograph, right? So granddad was very important in this kid's life. Granddad paid for high school senior photos, you know what I mean? And we did this for a calendar. And so the kid was very astute, very smart kid, very smart young man. And so I decided to do a thing where we was like, okay, we're going to have the kid be very astute and have granddad like rock out like he got the iPhone with the headphones rocking out. And we juxtaposed them against each other. So we had the kid with the Time magazine talking about, come on, grandfather, get it together. And granddad rocking out, right? And so when you juxtapose this against each other, the family absolutely loved this shot. The fact that they had this kind of love for each other and then to do it in a creative way like this, listen, let me tell you something. Money rocked that, right? Like this is dope. I had a blast like photographing this stuff. And so imagine setting up the scene and the granddad don't know how to do this. He don't know how to. I'm like, okay, granddad, you got to hold the iPhone up. He's like, I got to hold it. He's from Africa. I have to hold the iPhone up. Like, yeah, now rock it out. He's like, what do you want me to rock with? Rock it out, granddad, and do this, right? But you got to be looking at him, right? And then they look at the camera. No, you can't look at me. Don't look at the kid. Look at your grandson. And going through that whole process breaks the ice, right? It makes people comfortable. They laugh. All of that together, along with music through the system, friends and family around, snacks on the table, unlimited poses, unlimited clothes changes, makes for wallets that empty out, right? And they get wall art to commemorate this memory of who granddad and who grandson is. Cool. This one, oh my God. This one, whoo. Now, mom paid for the high school senior photos and she wanted this boy to get a haircut. Like she wanted, like, I'm not cheap, right? And so mom made it a point, like, Shawn, I need you to do this high school senior photos. He getting his haircut next week. And then when they came in the studio, this was his hair, right? And so the tension you could cut with a knife, she was mad. And he is 17 or whatever age he is, 16, 17, yeah, 18, whatever it was. Ma, I don't want to cut my hair, Ma. This is my hair. Woo-hoo, woo-hoo. I didn't think we were gonna be able to do the session, right? Like she was mad. She wanted, high school senior boy, she wanted him to have his hair cut. So I said, look, okay, y'all, we got to get it together, right? And so I said, listen, you got to pick. So he said, yeah, I got to pick. I was like, okay, y'all stand in scene, get in front of the backdrop. And I said, Ma, I need you to like put the boy in a headlock or something. I need you to act like you combing his head, right? And she was mad and he was mad at her and they didn't want to do it at first. I'm like, come on now, let's get it together. Let's get it together. I said, now go and put your hand around his neck, right? And go act like you picking the naps out his head and all of that stuff, right? And boom, and we captured it. And once we did that, this is the reaction that we got, right? This is authentic laughter, fun. They were just mad at each other, cut the tension with a knife. But this is the stuff that we capture, the relationships between the clients and their interaction. This defined not just the senior photos, this defined their relationship throughout his high school career. This was that love-hate relationship. And then we took a picture that's grandma and mom. They're like, boy, you get on my nerves one more time, right? And then here we go. And so all of these went into his album. freaking amazing, right? You can't, you have to be open to capture people, capture their stories, not just the pose. That is how business will grow for you, right? And so if you serve the client better than they expect to be served, they're not the experts. You are, hold their hands right through the process. Listen, I got a lot of stuff. I'm not going to do all of this. Can I talk about becoming more than just for a minute, or is there a question real quick?
Well, I think we'll have to do a part 2 with you. So,
Right.
so that'll be easy enough. So we'll round up whatever you want tonight, and then we'll go into a couple questions.
How much time we got, man?
We normally what we do is, we do an hour and a half with someone. So it's, it's up
Okay.
to you. So I mean, if we're around 7:49 now, so if you want to finish up a presentation.
Oh, cool. Okay. I thought we had an hour. I thought we had an hour. Money, we an hour and a half. Let's go.
You know what I'm saying? Give you an hour and a half. Yeah.
What up, though? Let's go. Money, they ain't ready for it. You know what I'm saying?
Rock that.
All right. So this is a common theme. This is a common theme of mine. I talk about becoming more than just, because when I started out as a photographer, people would say, "Oh, you just a photographer," right? I don't know how many people have encountered this, but I encountered this a lot at the start of my career. Well, Shawn, all I need is, right? Like somehow that's gonna make it cheaper. Well, all I need is a simple headshot. Like what? And so yeah, you're just a photographer. No. So we talk about becoming more than just a photographer. And so when we talk about building business, one of the ways that I built business, especially at a time when Detroit was going through bankruptcy, was that I authentically served people, right? And so I love my city. Yeah, I love Detroit. Y'all talk about it all you want to. Talk about the teams, money. I'm Detroit ride or die, yo, right? And so I went out in the middle of Woodward Avenue, which is the main thoroughfare in Detroit. And I took this photograph of Woodward Avenue early one February morning. Did it in HDR and called it Dawn of Detroit, right? And so this is the photograph that started IC Detroit. Well, what was IC Detroit? IC Detroit was this photo walk that I started. And so what I would do is like, how do I give back to my city, right? At the time we going through bankruptcy, how do I help do my part to help raise the morale? And so what I would do is I started this photo walk where we'd invite people to come down. I'd do a 30-minute class on composition. Didn't matter whether you had a camera phone or whatever, professional DSLR camera, any of that stuff. We go through composition and then we walk the highlights of Detroit, right? And we'd hire a professional tour guide to give us the history of those spots. And then after we finish the photo walk, taking pictures of Detroit, we bum rushed the downtown Detroit restaurant to frequent it, right? And to give money downtown Detroit. And it was just my way of kind of giving back. And so what ended up happening is that people who weren't from Detroit or had never been to Detroit would come and go on these walks, learn the history of it, and then actually spend money in Detroit. And the whole point of it is that I wanted people to come back on their own, right? And so I wanted to dispel the rumors that Detroit was this ultra super dangerous, right, city that you couldn't come to and you couldn't walk around, and people started to love it, right? And so I took these photos and I started the IC Detroit photo tour, and it turned into a bus tour, right? And we partnered with other photo walks, and we had folk come from Texas and Canada and Miami, right? And we did this IC Detroit bus tour. And what we did everything Detroit. I hired a Detroit company that took old cheese buses, painted murals on them, put Wi-Fi on them. We did Detroit, like Better Made chip swag bags, and everything was Detroit, right? That supported Detroit. And we hired the tour guide again, and we go through on the buses to these historical districts and all of that stuff. And people, we had a blast, and it was my way of giving back to the city. Here's what makes that cool. Here is why it is important in developing your business. I became more than just a photographer. I became more than just a guy who took pictures. I became an advocate for the city of Detroit. So whether people needed photography or not, what they appreciated about me is that I was the guy repping the city. And so people came along on the tour who didn't want to take a photo. They just wanted to go on the tour, right? That stuff becomes important, right? Weave yourself within your community. You will always be relevant. You will always have business, right? I love kids. This is that bus company, right? And so I wanted to impact 200 kids in the city of Detroit who had never seen anything, maybe never been to a historical district in Detroit, only their neighborhood. And so we did a photographic bus tour with them. And we took them to a historical district, right? And these are those kids. And we went into these old historical mansions and took photos of oh man, it was amazing, right? And so I got this reputation as a guy who loves Detroit, not just a photographer, right? And then here are the people on the bus. And what I love about this, and this is very important, and this is my mission now, as a guy who advocates for diversity within the industry, is what's very on purpose here is that you have a great mix on this bus of everybody, old, young, black, white, yellow, green, I don't care what color you are, right? We had a blast. You see the lady in the front, woo, you see that right there? Rock that money. That was the stuff that we did. It was about more than just photography. It was about engaging people and loving people and having a blast, right? And welcoming people in. And that's what we did. I also love kids and I mentor a lot. And so you see my teeth now, that gap is closed. I didn't have braces money. But back then you could see my tonsils through the gap in my teeth. You know what I mean? But those are my kids, right? That I mentor. And so I love kids. I am passionate about the success of children. I believe that they are the next generation of leaders. And what we get out of them will be what we invest in them today. I believe that to my core, right? And so people identify with people who are passionate about their causes. Now, when I say be authentic, I mean that. Be authentic in what you do and what you love. Don't do it to get business. Do it because you love it, right? And I think it's okay to talk about the things that you're passionate about. So find that thing. If it's pets, if it's dogs, I don't care what it is. Find that thing that you're passionate about, ingrain yourself in it. People love to do business with people who impact change in the things that are important to them, whether you're a photographer or not. Rock that. And so let me tell you what this led to. Oh, my money, this is the hottest stuff on the planet, yo. Travis, y'all, damn, Jesus. Oh my goodness. All right, rock that. Okay. All right, here we go. So check this out. Detroit going through bankruptcy. I'm about to knock stuff off my desk. All right. Slow down, Shawn. All right. So partnered with some guys, very good friends of mine, right? Hodge Flemings, Delane Parnell, who runs Versus, eVersus now out in California, is freaking multimillionaire. But here's the deal, all from Detroit. And so they had this idea to do Detroit Week, right? And so we all partnered together to do Detroit Week. And we said, you know what we're going to do? Because the city is going through bankruptcy, right? And everybody wanted us to liquidate the Detroit Institute of Arts. That's Detroit's museum. That is the museum. They wanted to liquidate it to pay off Detroit's debt. And people was like, no, don't liquidate the museum. It's our museum. Back up off the museum. So we partnered with the museum and we said, we're going to do Detroit's largest selfie. Money. Whoo! Look here. We're going to do Detroit's largest selfie. So this is like 2014. February, and if you know anything about Detroit, in February it's cold in the mug. It was like 45 degrees, and that was balmy. That's like, woo, yes. We partnered with the DIA. We got together with the Michigan Science Center, and people came down and we did Detroit's largest selfie. Something amazing happened. Something as simple as a selfie. You either love it or you hate it, right? But one thing is for sure, everybody knows about a selfie. Something amazing happened. Every local news outlet came out to Detroit's largest selfie. That week, Ellen had done something for the Oscars surrounding a selfie. And we did Detroit's every radio station. Right. If you look at the picture, you'll see the Channel 4 guy down on his knee with the big camera aimed at himself. Right. At the last minute, I was up on a ladder. I said, I need all the news networks were behind me. I said, I need all the news networks. Everybody get in the photograph. Point your camera at yourself. Right. And so to do everybody, Channel 7, Channel 4, Channel 2, we had local radio stations, FM, AM, everybody was there for Detroit's largest money. It was the hottest stuff on the planet. The dude in the front with the camera, the big camera, he was like, all right, hurry up, take this photograph, man. It's heavy, right? We had a blast. People say, well, how do you all know that it's the largest selfie? We said, I don't know. You tell us. There is no data to refute it, right? It had never been done. No data to refute it. So something as simple as a selfie. And on this photograph for this week, we spent $250. That was it, right? Something as simple as that, taking an idea, being relevant to your community, this thing exploded. It exploded. And what that did for me on a business level, right? That week, we reached 1,500 physical reach, 84 media outlets, right? That week, and however many million? Read that for me.
8.2.
8.2 million people we reached for something as simple as a selfie, right? That opened up doors for me. And you can see in the photograph, selfies are part of our digital landscape these days. And they quoted me on the event, right? Selfies at DIA bring together the community. So I became more than just a photographer, right? I became one of the people who helps to bring the community together at a time when Detroit is going through some of its worst times ever. Money is the hottest stuff on the planet, yo. Oh my God. Buddy, I'm trying to tell you.
You can only figure out how to bring a little energy and personality to it.
I'm trying, but look. So what that did was, watch this. When we're talking about developing career, right? What this did was it opened up business for me on another level, locally, citywide, statewide, national. I was able, as a result of this, the upcoming projects were some of the coolest projects that I have ever worked on. In my life. And so I became sort of the official photographer for the city of Detroit. And so Motor City Match was Detroit's program that was federally funded, that matched business owners with landowners and building owners and funded them. And they gave away $500,000 every quarter, right? It was my job to photograph every business owner and every landowner before the actual land or building was rehabbed, right? And I became the guy who was the small business photographer, right? I became that guy. That's the mayor of the city of Detroit right now at one of the award ceremonies, right? It opened up doors for me on an entirely different level, right? Now, from there, a project came along called Rebrand Cities. And we partnered with WordPress to put 10,000 small businesses on the grid that were no longer on the grid. So what we did was there are trillions of dollars lost in money simply because businesses do not have websites. And so we went into cities, we found those businesses, and then we partnered with them. We gave them a website, did their content, and photographed them and their business. That became my job. I was director of photography, lead visual storyteller for that partnership between WordPress and Rebrand Cities. And we traveled everywhere. We traveled the globe photographing small business. Money. Hottest stuff on the planet, yo. I don't care what nobody say, right? And so this was our team. Money, so photographing people and their stuff, right? Helping them tell the story so that they can actually make money. This is New Jersey. This is the largest indoor farm in the world in New Jersey, right? Poet. I had a blast Can you imagine the traveling we did and the people you meet and the stories you hear, right? The fun you have, the danger you get in. So, some of the stuff was a little sketchy. I'd be like, oh no, we're not photographing this. I can't, right? But it's all good. So branding yourself, strategic partnerships, be a part of the fabric that's woven into your community. You'll always be relevant. You'll always have business, right? So I think that's it. I'm not gonna go any further. Woo, y'all ain't ready. Right.
It's very inspiring, and it shows what it takes to build a business. And it's not just about photography. It's about an experience. It's about your passion. It's about your willingness to believe in what you're doing, and it's infectious. It's like I've told so many people so many times, like, how many times have you been on a set or a shoot, and someone looks at you and goes, "You are the best photographer. I had the best time. This has been," and they haven't seen a photo yet.
Mhm.
Somehow you're the best photographer, but they haven't seen your work yet.
Yeah.
It's like it's that experience. In a day and age right now that especially senior portraits is really, really competitive. I mean, it's a huge. I mean, people are coming up with huge ideas and smoke bombs and fire blowing up and just cars chasing each other. Like, how do you continue to? Is it just capturing people's personalities? How do you stay competitive in that? Because people are going after the different. Are they going after the same seniors you're going after? But once you've landed them, they seem to always want to go back to you. What is that you think that how do you address that?
It's about listening to your client. And when you listen to your client, it's not that hard. It's pretty much the same for everybody, right? Capture who they are. Those dynamics, right? Those little refinements is enough for that individual to buy the stuff from you. Right. I'm not trying to do bigger than the next person or the biggest smoke bomb or whatever. If that's the mission, then cool, we can do that. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to serve you well within my workflow. Right. I'm trying to serve you well within the confines of my workflow. And the best way to do that is to capture the individual and ignite their emotion. And if you do that, that's nothing but simply, if that's a mom and daughter have a great relationship and you capture that kiss on the forehead that mom used to give daughter when she was a baby, and you hear that story, you understand it, and you recapture that, that's a simple portrait, but that's a kiss on the forehead that's important to mom. She don't care nothing about the smoke bomb, right? She don't care nothing about the smoke bomb. To that individual senior who loves their iPhone, take a picture of them and their iPhone, right? Maybe they got their own specialized case with their name on it. Capture that. The basketball that has been specially made for the basketball player by his dad. That's just super important to him. Capture that. I'm not trying to necessarily go bigger and badder. I'm not trying to be, for me, when I started out, I wasn't trying to be the baddest photographer. I was just trying to pay my bills. You know what I mean? And the best way to pay your bills is to serve people well. And when you serve people well, people will pay you well.
One question to go back to, I know someone asked earlier, and when you're talking about paying, they were not clear. You had talked about a 1-hour session with the client, unlimited, changes and poses, but you said you spent 5 hours per client. Can you break that down for them so they kind of understand what you were saying?
So I spend 45 minutes in an initial consultation. So there's an initial phone call. They call however long that is, 10, 15 minutes. There's 45-minute consultation that they come in. They decide to book. We do an hour session. I think there is an hour or so or whatever in post-production. We send it off to print. When it comes back, we process the prints, gloves, all of that stuff, packing, the whole 9, call the client, final delivery. All of that whole process takes 4 hours. So from start, initial phone call to finish, I'm done with that client. They are out the door, paid, everything's done, 5 hours worth of time.
Now that you were talking in the early days, it was just broker than broke, and broke couldn't even broke, but
Yes.
So you did everything yourself. Have you now built a team? Like, are you doing all the editing, or you find yourself, it's more important to spend your time doing other things? How are you kind of divvying up and doing things nowadays?
Yes. So yes, I have built a team, and all of my post-production is outsourced, right? All of it is outsourced. I use, I don't know if I should tell a company that
No,
I use,
I mean,
but
I'm sure they'll love it. And people would want to know. So
I use Photographers Edit. And so they learn your style, and a senior gets 20 images in a gallery. Right. So if you're like anything like me, when you started out, you shot the world, you shot 8,000 images and you showed the client all 8,000 of them. And it took you forever to post produce everything because, of course, we are artists and we don't want to let nothing go. And we will spend 3 hours on an image that we won't even use. And by the time we're done with the 8 hours of post production, we don't put on an image, we hate it. You know what I mean? It's right, like all of that. And so I had to streamline all of that to say, Shawn, you got to make money. Right. And so for me in the beginning, it was about making money, but now it's too much. So I do outsource a lot of that stuff, and my team handles a lot of that stuff. People want to shoot with me. I tried to do the thing where I had a team of folks shooting and doing the stuff that it doesn't work. Folk want to shoot with me. And so I am the one that does the shooting. We have a blast. And then I might go through and do some initial culling and say, use this, use this, use this, use this. And then we outsource that to a company so that, because I'm busy, I'm doing a lot of other stuff now.
Well, I know we're coming towards the closing of our time, but I want to say to anybody in the audience that has a question, now's the time. But we always, I know Deb's usually has great questions. Nivea has great questions. Let's go Nivea first.
You want me to stop sharing my screen?
Yeah. Let's get, FaceTime.
Let me see if I can see. The thing about this is I can't
I'll kill it for you.
Can you kill it? Yes, please do. You rock.
Great. Thank you so much, Shawn. That
you want
was
to see me?
really, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I can't see you all.
I got you.
Yeah. My question to you was, how do you get new clients? That would be good to know how to get clients.
It's all, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all word of mouth.
Mhm.
It is all word of mouth. It literally is. It doesn't stop. And so creating scarcity has been easy. Excuse me, if that makes sense. Because everybody sees the work and everybody kind of attacks and goes from there, and which is pretty cool. All right. And I'm gonna be honest with you, when I started in my career, my dream was to have a studio, right? To be in a place and people walk in. That was always the dream, right? And be there and constantly doing photography all the time. Well, now I don't want to, I got so much stuff going on. I don't want to be shooting all the time. There are other things that I am passionate about. So I want to do the part of it that I love, outsource it to other people. And so, yeah, we're good.
And one thing I think you found a beautiful niche where you found, people that are loving what you're doing. And when you do that well and do it well with the personality you're doing and connect with them on that emotional level, you provide such an experience. Those people are going to go and tell every single person that they know that this was this type of experience. And it's like what you're going to, and especially if you get the one kid that's the leader of the group, he's going to tell every one of his friends, and everybody's going to have to copy him and get the things like. And it's just a wonderful thing. In the early days, did you do any kind of promotions or anything that's like trying to find the right person or the right word of mouth? It's like, because word of mouth is what it's all about.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was most like everybody else. I would have, on my Facebook page, I'd be like, headshot special, senior special, please use me, right? And you soon find out that gets on folks' nerves, right? And so it became about then building something that people wanted. Because believe it or not, I'm probably pretty good at it now, but I was a pretty horrible salesman. I didn't like, I shouldn't say that. Let me rephrase that. I'm not a horrible salesman. I can sell anything. I could sell anything. I could sell air to you right now and make you believe that you need it. I can do that. I didn't like selling, right? I always had this taste in my mouth about people selling me stuff or pushing it down my throat. And so it became about me creating an experience that people had to have. They wanted it so much that I didn't have to sell it. That's where the serving the client well came into play, because I didn't want to sell to people. I wanted to be authentic. I wanted to be excited about their stuff, right? And so that's what that is. And so the early days after the use me didn't work. Once you refine the experience, you serve people well, you see how it works, and you start to grow it. That's what took off for me.
That's the thing. The real hint, the real thing about selling is it's not to do the hard sell. Is effective selling is just giving people, saying the thing that gives people permission.
Yeah.
To do the thing they already wanted to do.
Yeah. So, say it. Go on, preach it, Deb.
Yeah. And I have to say, I said this before we got started. You are just a ball of sunshine. I think, here's something you should do. You need to market ringtones, rock,
yeah,
hottest thing on the planet. So you just hear your voice coming out of the phone all day long and just
watch out.
Up.
I don't know if they're ready for it.
But I would say that even you must get a creative block sometime or feel like you're in a rut. And if do you ever, and how do you get out of it?
So I don't to be honest with you, I don't know if I've ever had those times. I think I keep myself surrounded with creative people. Mm-hmm. Right. I always stay in a state of learning. And one of those things is that you try not to get an ego, right? The one thing I understand is that there are photographers out there that are phenomenal. Right. And I'm not trying to be better than everybody, or you know what I mean? Or the best type deal. I want to be good at what I do, but I always surround myself with creative people. There are people in my circle who challenge me without saying a word. Right. You look at their stuff, you be like, golly, man, you got to step your game up, money. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so when you're always talking to people and you're always animated, you are always surrounded by ideas. You always stay fresh, if that makes sense. If the water is constantly moving, then you're always fresh. And so I try not to stay stagnant or stay in a place. And I think that's true. I think that's even true in life, right? This stuff happens in life. And if you stay in it, then you could get stagnant in it. It can impact you, impact your life. And it takes effort to get out of that. But if you try and keep moving, even when it's hard, right, you'll find you'll get out of that stuff a little quicker. So creatively speaking, that's how that goes.
I have to say, your personality, you must be the ideal photographer for people who hate having their picture taken.
Yes, I hear that all the time. Everybody, like people that come to me and be like, well, I'm not going to tell you, I'm telling you, Shawn, right now, my picture's not going to be good. Right. I'm not going to, I don't take pictures well. Right. It's not about, here's the deal. Know what you're doing by default, right, as a photographer, but understand your client. Know who they are. Talk to them about things like preparation, right? And so if we talk about, for example, headshots, the one thing that I share with my clients is you don't come in here with your hair not done and you do your own makeup and maybe you don't know how to do it, wearing your clothes that aren't ironed and think that we get ready to get a bomb headshot. No, here's what's getting ready to happen. Here's my tips and tricks for your headshot session. Here are the clothes that you ought to be wearing, right? Know how you ought to pose people, whether they are thin, whether they are big boned, right? Whether they have wrinkles and all of that stuff. Know your lighting, and then make your people feel at ease, right? And so, and it's a skill to acquire, and so you got to have a skill set with people. If you're going to be a photographer that does portrait photography, you have to acquire a skill set in people. If that's not you, then maybe you partner with somebody who has a little bit of personality and has some people skills where you all partner together and make that stuff happen. And it never fails. We take the photograph and they're like, oh, that's me. How did you get that photograph of me? They just know that they were in studio laughing and having a good time and all of that stuff, and they got the best photo they ever take.
And isn't that one of the best things that we have as photographers, when you get that reaction of someone seeing themselves for the first time in your photo and getting that excited? I think that's, for me, that's one of the best parts of what I do is, and it's funny because I get that same thing. It's like, oh, I don't take a good photograph. I just don't know. I never get good pictures. I'm like, that just means you had bad photographers, man. Let's work. Come on, let's talk. Because I got you. We got a couple of questions here that I want to jump into just quickly. People are kind of interested in, because you had talked about your pricing structure starting and the basic is the entry level is $1,000. Now you were saying it can get to 2,000, 3,000. People want to know how you kind of structure them. How do you get them up into that? Because you're not a hard sell. You're not like going into walking into Best Buy and it's like, what can I help you with? What can I give you? So you're not hounding them. So how are you working them up to different prices? What are those different things? Like what are prints? How much, what is the structure that you have that leads you into bigger,
well, of course, starting out, those weren't my prices. But, you know, as you get better, and I'm going to tell everybody this, by default, you have to be good at what you do. Right. And when you understand what you have invested in your skill set, the time that you spend in education, the money that you spend on equipment, everything, I can tell you that when I started out, everything was cash. Right. I remember somebody paid me $200 for a wedding. I was like, what? $200? Yeah, I will do that. I had a Canon Digital Rebel or some stuff like that. And then one day I was like, yeah, I'll do that shoot. And somebody handed me an American Express card. I didn't have any way to process that. And by the time I had gotten everything that I needed to process the credit card, it cost me less, right? I didn't make any money because I had to spend the money to get a credit card processor. When you start paying your dues and you understand the cost of business and the cost to do what you do, one, it will embolden you to start raising you. Because when you start losing money, I don't care how scared you are to charge money. When you start losing it, you're gonna be like, hey, hold on, wait a minute, stop. Right. Right. So you will start to charge more money. Also understanding your value and what that is. And then the last thing I'm going to say to you is that your client is not in a koi pond. Right. And so there's this concept that your ideal client makes at least $60,000 a year. So when you start to think about what you're going to charge for your pricing, you can't go to everybody thinking everybody's going to pay you that price. You have to go after people who value and understand the value of what your worth is, and also have the budget to be able to pay you what your worth is. So you start to market in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, so it's someone wondered, do you have some favorite photographers, or who are your kind of who do you look to as mentors growing up as photographers?
Well, you know, I started late in the game. So the people that inspired me are people like Terry White, who's Adobe's worldwide design and photography evangelist. Those that kind of held the door open for me to walk through. People like Terrell Lloyd, Matthew Jordan Smith, Audrey Woolard. Like they have been photographing for years before I came along. When you talk about an African-American man breaking into the industry, these were folk that were doing it when it wasn't popular or when it wasn't many of us doing it. And so I look to them. They are my mentors today. They are my mentors today, and I love them. And you know, there's this saying where you talk about giving them their flowers while they live. Every chance I get, I'm always talking. I think, matter of fact, I think they get tired of it. I know Terry White gets tired of me telling the story about how amazing he is and what he's done for my life and all of that stuff, right? But those are the people that I look up to. There are a ton of amazing photographers out there. Ralph Romagera, who is also a great mentor. To me, it's just a lot of folk out there. So I'm gonna stop right now because I'm gonna miss somebody and then they're gonna be mad at me. And then, Shawn, why didn't you name me? I'll be like, you were in my heart. That's what I'm saying. Just right here in my heart.
Well, I know we're definitely gonna have to have a part 2 with you because there's just too much to cover. Maybe anything to end off on with it? You know, no.
Are we almost done?
What's that? You had a question? What was that, Shawn?
I was like, are we almost done?
We are. We're almost out of time. I mean, we don't have to be, but yeah, we're nearing that hour and a half time, and people need to eat. Now we can continue this and do another one, and I want to because there's a lot more that you and I can discuss on this and get. And the next one, I would like to talk. The next one is really kind of just I would love to do one. Deb and I did a great one with I can't speak right now. Platon, and it was really based on people just kind of talking and asking questions on you know. What they were having troubles with, the inspiration, and it was really inspirational. I would like to break it down where we have more people, you know, what you brought up at the very beginning, have people see them face to face, and we can have this kind of community talk where, you know, we can actually all talk together and ask questions. I think that's the next one we need to have with you. So Deb, any closing remarks before I ask my final 2 questions that I ask all my yes.
We have the traditional ending.
I do.
With Travis, it's sort of like Carol Burnett with the I'm so glad we had this time together, but which dates me from remembering that. But I'm just overwhelmed. You know, I've heard you speak before, Shawn, and I'm always overwhelmed and inspired by you. And I just thank you so much for your generosity of spirit in coming to speak with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you all for having me. It's been amazing.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. And I'm gonna come to Detroit and visit you.
Money, you ain't ready for it. Let's go.
Dude, I was ready for it a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. I almost went there because in my very first days of starting photography, and this was 10, 12 years ago, which is not long because this is my third reboot in careers. I shot a lot of abandoned spaces, and Detroit was the heyday, for going to shoot there. And I had many friends that went and shot there, and I was very jealous. But now I want to go there and shoot for the people and the beautiful, characteristics of that Detroit is all made up of people like you and the beautiful people there. So
can I mention something real quick?
We want you to mention a lot of things.
April 28th and 29th, we got a conference next week in Atlanta. And so it is built for investment in people, right? And so we're giving away 4 scholarships to high school kids, which is really, really cool. 2 days of education. Some unbelievable speakers. I believe you guys have had Creative Soul, Karen and Regis Bethencourt.
Yes.
On before they're speaking, B. Trofert is speaking, Tracy Bosworth Page, and the list goes on. Terry White, Victoria White are also speaking. We got some great photographers that are speaking, teaching, leading photo walks, lunches included. And once again, we're speaking to a high school down there. And so go to rockthatconference.com. Map Rock That gives $50 off, right? So it's $149, $50 off of that makes it $99, 2 days, lunch included, the whole 9, right? And so if you're free and you're in Atlanta, rockthatconference.com. Click on the link.
We're going to follow up and send those links out. And if anybody's interested, you can always follow up with us. Deb is director at APANewYork.com. Sorry, I was given the web address .com, and she can follow up, and we're happy to follow it up. So this is, the world can be a heavy place sometimes. What is your guilty pleasure watching on? What do you binge watch recently? What's been your guilty pleasure? Or what's something that's given you a big old belly laugh recently?
You talking to me?
I am. This is one of the 2 final questions I like to ask people.
Guilty pleasure. As far as I tell you what. Like can I show you something?
Yeah, of course you can.
Y'all ain't ready. All right. y'all ain't even ready. Where to go? I gotta find. Oh, here we go. So I'm a big old kid. All right. So like,
there we go. Transformers. More than meets the eye.
Somebody got me this gift for my birthday.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And I didn't even open it up. It's
fantastic.
But I am a Transformers Voltron nut. Right,
Voltron. So that's going back. I used to come back from school and watch Voltron in the afternoon after school. Or
money, Dinotherms connected. Right, listen. I am the Black Lion. I am the chunky Black Lion. You know what I mean? Money. You know what I mean? Form, feet, and legs. They not ready for it. So yes, I've been binge watching Voltron. It's the newer version, but it's okay. It's not the old version, but that's okay. What has made me belly laugh recently? Back during COVID, when everybody was on Zoom, I remember rushing to hop on a Zoom call, and they were commenting on how well I was dressed. Shawn, you dressed so well. They didn't know that I had on drawers, and I had a big old hole in my sock. I had tripped on the floor, and my foot was sticking all the way through the sock, just like this. And I was like, if this camera fall or go the wrong way, it's gonna be over with. It's gonna be over with. They're not gonna be ready. So after that call, I just laughed my butt off. Oh my god.
It's an infectious laugh you have. So our final question that I ask everybody is on the most personal level, not a definition of what is photography truly to you.
Photography, man, it's of course it's right. It's painting with light, right? There's so many things about photography that I love. The first thing that I fell in love with in photography is that it is as equally technical as it is creative, right? The respect that you have to have for the craft of photography, to understand how to set that tool, that paintbrush, that technical paintbrush up to be able to capture what your mind sees, right? It's a skill of respect, right? And to be able to do it skillfully and to do it it to a point that actually pleases people, where people can pay you money that helps you take care of your family, is for me is extremely important, right? And so the fact that I can tell you what an exposure is without looking at the photo, just looking at the histogram, oh, money, that does it for me. Like that does it for me. Yeah.
It's a
So
beautiful thing. Well, I want to
yeah.
thank you so much. Where's the best place for people to find you?
Shawn Lee Studios, at Shawn Lee Studios, SHAWNLEE Studios with an S. .com is the site. And at Shawn Lee Studios is the Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Follow me there. Go check us out. Also, MAP Rock That, MAPP Rock That, ROCKTHAT.com is where you can find our conference, the affiliate, everything that we are doing. TEDxDetroit, all of that stuff is there. So check us out.
I can't thank you enough. Inspiring, fun, motivational, and full of passion and heart. And that's the most important thing. From SVA, School of Continuing Ed, maybe I want to thank you so much for partnering us on this. It's so important. Deborah Gilbert, my partner in crime on this, from APA, APA New York and APA National. We thank you so much. And we are going to follow up with a second conversation with you, because there is so much more to cover, and we can have so much more fun on this and make it
Let's go.
Inspirational. Look forward to it. My pleasure. And thank you so much for your time. Everybody, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
Have a
so much.
wonderful night.
Bye.
Appreciate you all. Bye-bye.